Cecilia, hola. How are you?
Very happy, thank you.
You're not terrible?
Yes, I usually answer terrible to mean joyful.
Yeah, we have a joke going that when someone asks you how you're doing, terrible means joyful. Yeah, it mirrors the world right now, I think.
It's true from the perspective of those who believe they own us, we should not be joyful. So from their perspective, truly, it is a terrible thing where you are joyful.
Yeah, yeah.
It means they haven't succeeded in crushing you.
True. Joyous resistance. Yeah. I often talk to activists about that. What spell are you under? And how do you see the world? And I find that the activists I meet are not under a spell. They see clearly.
That's beautiful. I don't use the word spell, but I definitely feel that a lot of people are hypnotized, by the horrors that we see each time we are in touch with anything related to the news of the world or the state of affairs in any form or kind. Or even when we say hello to a lot of people are so downtrodden, so stressed out that it's like many people walk about not remembering that we are here for a completely different purpose, which is just sensing, feeling, breathing, discovering, watching, observing, playing.
Yeah, you have that effect on me. When I'm with you, I just want to play.
I feel the same about you. I think, I always mention this. I observe always animals because I grew up in the countryside. And so, I live in New York. I come out of the door into the sidewalk and I'm already happy because I am out, And usually you see dogs more than people in the sidewalks in New York. And the dogs are very serious people. And they hate this life of being, submitted to being under leash and all that. And the minute the dogs spot me, they go like that, like they recognize something, And of course they can see that I recognize them. Hey, the dog goes like that, So I feel a tremendous joy, and then they walk about like that, And it's because the animals live in a world much truer than we humans have become accustomed to live, like in the wrong theater play, And so with animals, you can fast get into something real.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Babies too, unless they are oppressed already. It has to be before 6 months old.
Yeah, they're closer to spirit. Yeah. Okay, so above us, there is Minga. Minga to the sea. Will you tell us what Minga means for you?
Yes, I think I began hearing the word Minga when I was a young girl. And Minga is a Quechua word, and in some countries or some nations, indigenous nations, they call it Minca. But you find that this word is still in use even by mestizo society. I belong to mestizo society. Mestizo means mixed blood, and it means work that you do together with people, and it's a system that is still in use because it's a form of beautifully and loosely organized cooperation. For example, in the countryside, they say, let's have a minga to construct a hut. You need to construct a hut to keep things there. that means that there's a party. And the party consists in that you arrive there, everybody works for free, and at the end of the day, when the work is done, we share food. So the people who invites the Minga offers food or drink or both to people. So Minga is a way of reciprocating to the community, but after a good job has been done. So it's a form of sort of exchange that keeps the relationships, the friendships, the love affairs, everything going.
Beautiful. There's a Norwegian word that comes to mind, which is dugnad.
You have it, you see?
Yeah. We don't do the party part so well. We're hard workers, though. Yeah. The sea. It says that our first landscape within the mother is in the sea, in the belly. What's your first memories of the sea?
Well, my memories of the sea have many, many faces. I know that when my mama was pregnant, she was already taking me to the wild rivers and to the sea. So most certainly, I must have felt the sea and my mother's belly as coming together. Like 2 days ago, at the entrance of this building, there was a big jar. I don't know if any of you saw it, by an artist. Habeck is his name?
Halvor.
Yeah. And he had inside the jar a loudspeaker where he had recorded the sound of the ocean. And I put my ear next to the ceramic piece that was very large, and I heard the sea, which was just the way. And in that moment, I went immediately into a trance, realizing that that was how I heard my mother's heart inside the belly. So my mother's heart was actually exactly the sound of the sea.
Beautiful. And she's still alive, your mother.
My mama, I mean, she's 101 years old, and she's much more alive than I am. And she is tremendous. And I was just with her 2 weeks ago, and I go there, this dance begins, and we dance in a most heavenly way together. We dance the tango, especially. Big mama, fat like that. Cecilia, like this. We go together into a trance of love. It's one of the most beautiful things that one can experience. And this morning I was hearing CNN and recorded a long interview of Cecilia while I was in Chile. And I started to speak of my mama in this interview, and then I realized I bet CNN doesn't have many interviews where people speak at length of their mama, you know. And it was really entrancing because we have forgotten the qualities of love that are possible in what in Latin is called filial love, meaning the love between parents and kids and vice versa. And to me, especially in the old age, my father died like only 4 years ago, and as my father, he died at 99, and the quality of his communication and his mystical way of being was coming in full force as he aged, and he never lost his lucidity, his ability to analyze sharply, but kept it in combination with this ability to look into your eyes and let tears come just out of love. And so the teaching that can be transmitted through just love is infinite.
Mm. When I lost my mother to cancer, this wise man told me to go to the ocean.
Mm.
And I got so mad. I thought it was too simple. But then I went. And it was true. For me, the ocean holds everything. And being submerged in the sea made me feel like I wasn't alone.
Mm.
Yeah.
How lovely. You know that I also was like a little fish in the cold water of Chile when I was a little girl. And we had certain games that I can share with you for next time you are in the cold sea. This morning, Sarah took me to the cold sea, and I so loved it. If we had had time, I would have gone swimming right away, because I recognized the cold sea of Chile in your sea. I just put my feet, and I so loved that sensation.
Yeah.
And the game consisted that once you are in the water, you play to be a corpse.
Mm.
So you're like that, completely like a corpse, and your body goes up, especially sustained by your tummy, you know. And so your tummy goes up and down like that, and you let yourself completely no movement, and the waves begin to take care of you.
Mm.
It's just the most beautiful game.
Mm. The exhibition above us is to the sea. One sea in the north and one sea in the south.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
Well, Norway and Chile are connected in terrifying ways. I will say this story, and there may be a lot of imprecision and not exactly real truths in what I say, because I'm not a researcher, a scholar, or historian. I'm just an artist. But this is my impression of what has happened. As you may know, the farming of salmon is an activity that probably began here. I don't know if that is true, but it's my impression. And at some point, it seems to me that Norwegian enterprisers discovered that Chile has this pristine, divine sea in Patagonia, where we have fjords that are not polluted, and it's really I cannot describe to you the beauty of that ocean. I have been there, I know it. And so they discovered that Chile, because of the dictatorship of Chile that was installed in 1973, has practically no functioning regulations for ecological defense of ecosystems. So the Norwegians, I don't know if they started this, but they have perhaps the biggest interest. Then there are other interests by other companies from different parts of the world, including Chilean millionaires that have companies. The result is that this pristine sea is dying now. There's so much contamination from the salmon, because the salmon, without regulation, they put all kinds of chemicals, antibiotics, and horrifying things. The salmons die by the millions, and they just let them rot and pollute all the other creatures. The workers die. I just read that more than 100 workers had died in these few years since this industry is there, because there are also not enough protections or regulation for the Chilean workers. And so, how is this possible? It's possible because Chileans don't want to know, because the people here don't want to know. It seems that is what we have in common, that people don't want to know. And so that's why it's one of the reasons that when Sarah invited me to come do an exhibition in a museum that was created by the artist and run by the artist, I thought, what a wonderful occasion to honor the few people in Norway and the few people in Chile that really love the sea, not like a tourist loves the sea, but with true, gutsy, visceral, full love. And so I had been following the Sami and the young people in Norway that have been part of this movement to stop the dumping of the mine refuse in the fjords. I cannot pronounce.
Repparfjord. Repparfjord.
Repparfjord.
And in Sami? Repovatna.
Yeah. And so each time I see those postings, I start crying. I mean, you see people that put their lives and their hearts in their love for the sea, and I see the women in Chile that I am honoring in this here. So when Sarah described that there were two long rectangular rooms, I immediately saw this is two rooms that want to have a conversation, a dialogue. And what better than to have the presence of these people that in Chile nobody is honoring the indigenous women defending the sea, and who is honoring the Sami and the young Norwegian people that are defending this fjord. I do not know about that, but I guess not very many. So this is the occasion to honor those who I personally admire, and I'm guessing that most of you admire too. Otherwise, you perhaps couldn't be here.
I'm very moved by that because I have worked with different activists for a while now, and one thing I know is that society punishes them and makes fun of them, and mainstream media, which I know is present, either don't mention them or mentioning them in a very untruthful way. And right now, the youths of the Red Repparfjord action is being sent to court to pay for protecting the fjord and reindeer areas. And Norwegian police is known for being kind compared to Europe, but here in Norway, the violence is in the money. The fines for being an activist now for civil disobedience in Fosne was about 5,000 to 6,000. So that's 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Now, can you guess how much it is for the same thing? In Sweden, it's like 1,500. In Denmark, it's 3,000. In Norway, 23,000. Which students and young people can afford that? And if you go to court, they will double it.
Wow. I mean, you see this happening more and more in different parts of the world, not just here. And when you think of the cruelty of that, I mean, but whose cruelty is it? It's not really the cruelty of the government, of the courts, of the system, of the parliament. It's a different kind of cruelty, and it's the cruelty of all of us. And until we acknowledge that all of us are part of that cruelty, because we sort of normalize it, we sort of accept that this is it, because in truth we are all so afraid that if we raise our voices, we will be crushed too. So how could we acknowledge that if we are all afraid, that should liberate us? Because I know that you are just as afraid as I am. So how does that not bring us together, you know, and to care for each other? I think a lot of, I'm old enough to admire immensely Scandinavia, because Scandinavia, from the perspective of Chile, represents a sort of more advanced, more civilized, more intelligent society. This, of course, is an idealization, I know, But some countries like Finland, for example, they're already teaching children how to distinguish fake news from real news, for example. So perhaps Finland really fits the image of a more advanced kind of society. I don't know so much about other Scandinavian countries, but we in Latin America have so much hopes that one day Scandinavia and the rest of Europe will recover their integrity, their honesty to themselves, to take the place that Europe should have. Because if Europe had the courage to stand up to this view that the only thing that matters in the world is money, then a different kind of ethics would return. People would be more sane, and then there would be a true chance of saving the seas from deep mining and from these horrors that we're doing with the salmon farming and lots of other practices. This is just the one that is most apparent. Now, for example, there is the capture of krill that is even worse than the salmon, because the krill is the basis of the trophic chain. I don't know how many people here know what the trophic chain, it means who eats who. And so if you break that trophic chain, the whole system falls apart. So the first that are dying from hunger are the whales. Chile is a country full of whales. I just heard from Sarah that you also have plenty of whales here. The whales are not singing, and you will see that line in the exhibition upstairs. When I heard that the whales are not singing, to me that is a call for humanity, because whales have been singing for millions of years. So if we are causing whales not to sing, do we deserve to be part of this earth? That is my question now.
Yeah. When I was in Reparfjord, I always watch for signs from animals. And first animals that came were the eagles, and then the whales. And according to the people living there, it's very rare that they come into the fjord. And so I was close enough to just see the eye when I did that. And then I pointed, but then the police had come. So all the activists were like sitting very properly and ready to be arrested. And I was like, whales, police, whales, police. And I had to choose. So I went back to the activists. But it's interesting because in almost every action I've been to, there are animal signs.
That is fascinating. I have to tell you that my art began in a place called Concon, which means in indigenous language, water, and it is the meeting point of the Pacific Ocean and the Aconcagua River that comes from the tallest mountain in the Western Hemisphere. And I have spent not the whole year, but a good part of the year there for most of my life. And the only time that a whale came to me was when I was filming a documentary about how Concon is being murdered by people. In other words, the ecosystem is under terrible threat by overexploitation, overfishing, oil refineries set in Concon and all that. And so there I am in a tiny boat filming, and suddenly a whale comes to the boat and looks at me with that eye. The eye is probably about this big. Is that true? Did you see that? Yeah. Just the eye, you know? And then, of course, the body is several meters, I don't know, 20 meters, very, very many times bigger than the boat. And she came and looked, and so our eyes come together, and it's the most beautiful exchange to see eye to eye with an animal. You know?
You mentioned care earlier. And I think if there was one thing that the world needs to install back into itself, it's care. And when I look at your work, that's what I see. I see care.
Thank you. That is true. You know, I think this work has been taking care of me forever. And I feel, since we're talking about the ocean, it was by the ocean that my art began. And it was, I was a teenager when this happened. I had finished high school and I had been admitted to architecture school. It was summer and I was there and by the sea. And suddenly I understood, I realized with my entire being, not with just my mind, that I was being felt by the ocean, by the wind, by the sun, by the sun, just as I was feeling it. And that changed my life. Was that not care? It's like the elements are telling you, yes, we're here. We are with you. We are in you. We are you, you know? And when I felt that, it's like I dissolved completely. I fell to the sand as if I had become another grain of sand, you know? And in total reverence for the possibility of understanding something like that. But not understanding with this, understanding with every fiber of your being, you know?
Yeah. I'm crying too. I've always felt so alone in my sensitivity, and that's until I met you. And you talk about being a translator more than a creator.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak more about that?
Yeah, because what happened to me in that moment is that when I came down to the sand, of course the sand is full of rubbish. And like here, you brought some rubbish for me. Look, I will bring it up. I'm crying already, sorry. Look at this rubbish. Isn't it divine? You know? And so this is what happened to me. In that moment, I looked at, I looked at the rubbish at my feet and I saw it as infinite beauty. And that's where my precarious art was born. Yes? That's a good sign. And so I picked up a little stick and I planted it in the sand. And I could see that in that gesture, it's like something had shifted, as if the earth had seen that I was seeing. And I felt like the circular exchange of your awareness and the awareness of what's around you. And precarious art is not the objects. Precarious art is being aware of that kind of awareness. And so then, in my art, there is not an effort. There is no stress. There's no, like, for example, they invite me to come do an exhibition in a tiny space, the size of a closet. I'm totally happy. They invite me to do an installation in a place like the Tate, you know, the biggest in the world. Fine. Because there's no, how can I say, ambition or projection or expectation. It's just I just know that it happens of its own accord.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trust there. Yeah, this was wool that I found up way north. So these are things from my studio. Can you believe it? It looks like Cecilia's work.
That's right.
Yeah. And I find when I gather, because that's what I do in my art, I gather things in nature. And it's like they find me. Mm-hmm. I just go for walks and I go, oh, there it is. And then I bring it to my studio and I'm not sure what to do with it. But the next day, someone has told me what to do with it and I do it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think my ideas come from me. I think they come from somewhere else. I just listen. Mm-hmm. And so there's no like Jannik Abel, the ego artist. It's more like, oh yeah, that happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so you see, I go to a museum and I can tell right away where this is coming from. Some work you can admire because it's perfect, it's beautiful, etc. But it's coming from the mind. So it doesn't have the same vibration, the same power as if it's coming from somewhere else. And don't you feel that right away?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like you meet the dogs.
Yeah.
Again, the dog.
The dog, yeah.
From a distance, the dog sees another and goes like that. Didn't like it, you know. And then another one goes like that. It's the same with the art.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the art, Moses stale or not, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That I'm so moved that you use this space for raising the voices of people that we really need to listen to. Is there anything you want the audience to know before they enter your show?
Yes, I do want for you to know that while I was installing, most of the work that you will see there, I did not do. And so it is probably the first exhibition, no, probably not true. I shouldn't say that. Or perhaps the first exhibition in a long time where I am just providing as if it were the vehicle. And the vehicle is the quipus, is the concept, is the invitation. But the works that you're going to be seeing there were done by the activists themselves. So when I first received them, they sent them in a big basket to me in Santiago before coming to here. And I looked at everything in the balcony of my little home in Santiago. And I was so surprised because I invited the Chilean ladies who are the activists defending the sea, and they're from all indigenous nations of Chile, and to send a letter to the sea that would be read by people so that people would understand that the sea is expecting our messages, our response as humans to its being, and that they could do these letters in any format that they see fit. A song, a video, a writing, a weaving, a painting. So I received a bunch of little things. Some were not so little. And I said, these ladies, they just didn't pay attention to what I asked. And so then I was disconcerted by my own response. And I said, that's really stupid. You know, I should take the responses as what they are. So I arrived here without having a single idea as to how I'm going to install them. But that's exactly my method, I don't think. So once I was here and all these things have arrived, and it's not true what I'm saying. These things were already here. Sarah had begun or was about to begin installing them, and tac, I see, like you. I see, I know how this has to be. Remember, Sarah? And I wrote to you a WhatsApp. This is Candy. So, in other words, what I want you to know is that the knowledge that you're going to encounter here belongs to these ladies. The knowledge that you will receive from the quipus comes from 5,000 years ago, when the indigenous ancient women of the Andes began doing quipus. And when you go there, you will see, they call it, the ladies, la escalerita, the little ladder of life, where all dimensions are present. So for me to do this installation was to enter into that escalerita, that little ladder that takes us to different dimensions of feeling and understanding that come from dealing with each other. I dealt with each one of the messages of the ladies with tremendous emotion, and I hope this will carry as a seed of this love that they certainly communicate us for the sea, because I am completely sure that all of us feel that love that has just been obscured, suppressed, perhaps forgotten, but I am sure if we are let loose by the sea, we are all equal in
That's great. What's the time? 42. Great, I can talk more.
Why don't we talk to the people?
Why don't I talk to the people?
They talk to us.
Did they talk to us? Great. Cecilia wants you to talk to us. Does anyone want to talk to us?
Sarah said that people in Norway were shy
Yeah.
and that they would not speak to
Prove me
in public.
wrong. Prove me wrong.
So you are perfectly respected not to speak in public.
It also often takes a little, maybe, what did he say?
I can ask you a question. Yeah. I've written it down, so I'm going to read it. You have described art as living or temporary before. You have described art as temporary or living before, I've heard.
Temporary or
yeah,
living?
Yeah, that art is temporary.
Ah.
And I was thinking of many of your earlier works, in particular the precarious, that hasn't been documented. And you've said they live in memory. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was wondering how you relate to the fact that works can change, disintegrate, and even disappear.
Yes, look at that question. To answer that, it has taken me a lifetime. So the fact that everything disappears is part of what I was describing in that moment when I was in front of the sea and I melted. In that moment, I understood that the fact that everything disappears makes it sacred. You know, the fact that we die and that everything dies is what keeps life going, you know. So if we are so attached to what we are or to our words or to what we do, we are missing the point of its beauty, the infinite beauty of death as regeneration of life. But of course, now in this culture, we are creating another kind of death, which is extermination, you know. And so many species are going extinct. That's a different kind of death, you know. When a death does not bring regeneration or renewal of life, can we call it death or shall we call it something else? But I should say that I believe that art is temporary and that it disappears, but never fully. I don't know if I'm passionate about science and about especially quantum physics and astrophysics. And there is this sage that recently died, Hawkins. You probably have read him. And he dedicated his life to study whether black holes swallowed information completely or not. Are you familiar with what I'm speaking about? Good. So at the end of his life, he realized that black holes eat information fully and completely, but not quite. And I love that. You see, so that is true of poetry and art. Perhaps our art may not survive, but something in it may, just may, because someone may remember seeing a ritual. I remember when I was doing my first rituals in the beach, that were all I was creating, these sort of tiny cities made of debris in the beach, at the very edge of the waves, so that the waves, high tide would come, eat it all away. And I always felt, who will remember this? Maybe someone is passing by, sees that, how weird, and may remember it. And perhaps this person may tell it to someone. Or perhaps this person will have a grandchild one day and will see the grandchild doing the same thing and would remember. So I wondered how memory works. And I trust that it works in ways that we don't know yet.
Any other?
Then I'll ask something. I find that art's responsibility has changed for me. When the world gets worse and worse, art's responsibility is bigger and bigger for me. What's it like for you?
Absolutely the same. Absolutely the same. Look at the word responsibility. Of course, it's a Latin word. Res means reality. But in this case, it means re, which is repetition. So responsibility, the second part, is the ability to respond. Responsibility is our ability to respond. We have been endowed by millions of years of evolution with the ability to respond. That we have renounced it is just because we're fucked up. You know, we don't need to renounce that feeling because it's a beautiful feeling. If you feel responsible for your pet, for your baby, for your plants, how about feeling responsible for the soil, for the sea, for the oxygen? I mean, it just extends your ability to love. That's how I see it, you know. And it extends, therefore, your plenitude, your joy, your ability to digest better.
Beautiful. You remind me of what I wish humanity was.
Gracias. That's quite a piropo. You know what a piropo is? It's like tremendo, tremendo. Muchas gracias. It's just that I escape notice. That's how I ended up being this way. Because if you are a girl in Chile, it's the same as you are not there. Hello, everybody, except for you. You see, and so that allowed me to be free.
I think free should be the last word. Thank you for listening.
Gracias, amigas y amigos. Gracias.